Entitled mother, entitled kid, and a teenage cashier in a Mexican standoff. So this encounter happened back in my first proper job as a cashier at a small store on campus. This convenience store was a student's dream job as it was located slightly off the main campus and served mostly students in local dorms and a few families which lived nearby. However, as nice and polite that people can be, there are always exceptions to the rule, and Entitled Mother and her brat were it. I had seen Entitled Mother and her kid a few times before, when Entitled Mother would pick up a few things while her brat ran around the store like an animal that was finally let out of its cage. Their trip would always end with Entitled Kid grabbing at the sweets and whining at the Entitled Mother to buy them while she made half-hearted attempts to say no. So far it wasn't too bad, aside from the awkwardness I felt as I stood there waiting for the Entitled Mother and the Entitled Kid to reach a resolution. Spoiler alert, she always gave in. However, the worst entitledness I had seen was the end of one particular shift. We had closed for the day, and my colleague and I had shut down the till and were cashing up. We had mopped the store, turned off the lights, and brought in our outside produce. Everything except locking the door, which we forgot to do. Enter Entitled Kid, who barges in and makes a beeline for the candy, where he proceeds to grab handfuls. Now, I'm not blaming the kid for rushing in, since he was just a kid who probably didn't understand the concept of retail closing times, but I will blame the parent. My colleague and I apologized for not locking the doors, and tried to explain that we were in fact closed. Entitled parent is, whilst mildly annoyed and inconvenienced, is very understanding and leaves without a fuss. Nope! This lady decides it would be better to argue with two student staff than explain to her kid why we couldn't sell the candy, since the tills had been cashed up and locked and that the door was closed. Kid then begins to realize that he wasn't getting his way and proceeds to unleash an almighty tantrum. So instead of going home after work to cook and study, I was stuck at work way after closing in a good old-fashioned standoff between us, the cashiers, who could not open the tills without a supervisor, who had also gone home for the day, the entitled parent, screaming at two students being paid the minimum wage and definitely not enough to put up with her bullshit, and the entitled kid, who just wants candy and will become a crying goblin child until he gets it. I honestly cannot remember how we managed to get them to leave, but I do remember the kid throwing back the candy onto the shelves, where I decided to let the opening staff deal with it so that I could finally go home and cry. No police were called, no violence, no satisfactory endings where wrongs were righted. There is probably a lesson in there somewhere, but honestly, it just felt like two tired college kids being scarred in retail by entitled parents and entitled kids. Yay! That's relatable, going home to cry. Our next story was posted by user Lemon Freaker, titled, "You seriously think they'd let me put cat stickers on a school laptop?" So, today I ran into an entitled parent. I'm going to college right now. For context, it is pretty big. That's what she said. I'm sitting in our hall's computer room. It is 2 computers, desktop for context again. The room has 3 long tables and 1 small desk, almost like a classroom. I'm sitting at the small desk on my own laptop. 2 other people are on the hall's laptop. Note that these are the only computers that can print from unless you want to walk to the library. Today, they were giving tours to students. It happens all the time, so I didn't put much thought into it. I just got back from lunch, so I sat in our computer room to do math homework. I see the tour go by, because our computer room has big windows. Side note, you need your school ID to sign into these computers. People on tours don't get those until orientation. A few minutes later, I see a mum and her son walk back into the computer room, whispering to each other. Then she comes walking by to me and says, "Excuse me, we need to use that computer." I could tell from her tone that she was a bit of a tramp, so I told her, Oh, I'm sorry. No, you can't use mine. If you wait a few minutes, I'm sure you can use one of the other ones." She rolled her eyes and said, "Yeah, sure, it's yours. My son needs to log on to his account." I said, "Ma'am, I'm just trying to do my homework. Can you please wait for one of the other ones? I mean, to hell with my own kindness, lol." She crossed her arms and said, "If you're really doing homework, why do you have videos open? It's school property, let my son use it." I'm so confused at this point because, lady, it's a laptop with stickers all over it. You'd think they'd let me do that to a school laptop? I show her my sticker that has my name on it. "Look, ma'am, this is mine. It has my name on it." I showed her my badge to confirm it. Of course, she just rolled her eyes. "Well, let me talk to the RA and see what he says." She and her son walked to the front desk. I felt so bad for the kid. He just stood there awkwardly the whole time, lol. The RA, actually the one that lives on my hall, so yay me, came back in with the lady and the kid. He gave me one look and said, "Ma'am, that's a personal computer. Come back to the front desk and I'll let you use mine." I am honestly surprised her head didn't explode, Lamau. Anyways, I saw her again later when I was walking to my last class. She was giving me this stink eye the whole time. Hope you liked reading. And our next story was posted by user Nyla1806, titled, "Racist entitled mother has apparently never heard of a tourist. I get my sweet revenge at the end." First of all, as you will see from the story, English is not my first language. However, I'm always open to learning and improving my English. Feel free to point out mistakes, just remember to be kind. Also, I'm on my phone, you know the drill. This is actually my friend's story, but I thought you guys would really enjoy it. So I asked permission to post it. I wrote it as if it was her, so it was easier to understand. I have several stories of my own that I'll try to post later. Now onto the story. Once upon a time, at some point in the past, I met a Karen in her natural habitat when I joined my husband on a business trip to a small town somewhere in Middle America. It was late afternoon and I decided to wait for him at a local dinner, cafe/informal restaurant. Sorry, don't know the correct term, but you get the idea. Enter Karen and her angel. They hardly glanced at me and sat at the table next to mine. My phone rings. It was my mum, who immediately puts my then 11-month-old daughter on the phone. I got very excited because it was the first time that I was away from her and I really missed her. As any mother will tell you, it's tough the first time you ever leave your child behind. So I immediately start talking to my daughter in my native language in what I am embarrassed to say was high-pitched, way too loud voice. "Hi, baby!" Now, Karen gets up, stands beside me, and gives me an annoying ahem to get my attention. I immediately realized that my behavior was Karen-esque, talking like that in public, so I immediately say a quick goodbye, hang up, and get ready to apologize to her. Until this point, I am fully aware that I was the Karen in the situation and not her. Oh no, but she had other ideas. Her next words were the cries echoed so many times in stories from people who do not have a racist bone in their body. It went something like this. Karen: "Excuse me, this is America, and in America we speak English." Me: "I am aware that this is America, but I am not from here." Karen: "You are in America, so you still have to speak English." "I'm sorry, but I don't. If you went to France, you would be expected to speak French, right?" "Of course not. I am American." "Then why should I be required to speak English here? I already told you that I'm not from here, and I don't live here. And even if I did, I could still speak any language I want." At that point, the manager comes over. Manager: "Is there a problem here?" "Call the FBI. OP just admitted that she is in this country illegally." She really said FBI. "I'm sorry, what? I just told her that I was not from here, that I don't live in the USA." The manager looks from Karen to me. Now, I didn't really want any trouble, so I pull out my passport and show him my passport and my USA tourist visa. Manager: "Sorry, ma'am," turns to Karen. Please stop bothering OP, or I will have to ask you to leave. Karen huffs, but returns to her table and keeps giving me horrible looks. I was super uncomfortable, so I decided to leave and ask for the check. This is when I get the brilliant idea. I call the waiter over and order the biggest sugar-filled dessert that they had and send it to her table for her kid, around 5 to 6 years old, as well as Karen's bill. It was around $20, so not that big a deal. As soon as the dessert arrives and the waiter tells her that it's from me and that I paid her bill, she just gaped at me, her jaw on the floor. I get up, smile, and simply say, "Enjoy," and walk out. Good luck getting that kid to sleep after all that sugar. And our next story was posted by user Ingenious Babe, titled, "Entitled Mother Calls Police on Me Because I Refuse to Pay to Fix Her Car." So our cast are me, entitled mother, innocent kid that's 16 years old, IK, assistant manager, and police. I work at a truck stop, and on this particular day, I was working the front, which is mostly car drivers. Innocent kid comes in, and she says she wants to fill up on pump 16 and leaves me her card. I asked if she was getting diesel, and she said yes. She comes back in a few minutes later and pays. I thought that would be the end of it. Nope. Enter entitled mother. This is probably where I should drop some knowledge. Pumps 14, 15, and 16 are different than other pumps on that side. They are meant for vehicles bigger than cars, but not as big as tractor trailers. If you didn't know, most of those vehicles have 2 tanks. As such, there are nozzles on each side. Think a little less space between pumps and turn one around so they're facing each other. There is only 1 parking space for all the pumps. There are 3 standalone pumps on each side, spaced very close together. They look like ones you'd see in a mum and pop store. One is regular gas, one is premium gas, one is diesel, respectively on each side. It sounds confusing, but it's beneficial for the vehicles needing more space and various fuel types. Sorry if I explained this wrong. I don't always do well when describing things. The majority of people using those pumps are well versed on how to use them. Occasionally, other people would pull up when we were slammed, and it was usually these people who would frick it up. Each pump is vastly detailed to prevent errors. If only. The diesel pump is pretty much plastered with the word diesel everywhere, including the handle of the nozzle. I kept more than a few people from putting the wrong fuel type in their vehicle. I was always vigilant about asking because I know how I'd feel to make a costly mistake like this. If someone were to say they wanted diesel on pump 14, I'd tell them the diesel pump was 16. Now back to our entitled mother. This lady is furious when she walks in. She immediately asks who rang up her daughter, and I said me. Then she's all, "My daughter just gave me the receipt and this is not what I paid for. Your advertised gas price is insert 2012 gas price here, and I was charged a lot more. Can I speak to your manager?" Me. "Yes ma'am, I'll go get her. Just an FYI though, that's the diesel price, which is what you purchased." Entitled mother. "What? I asked for gas, not diesel. Are you telling me that there is diesel in my car? This is your fault." "Ma'am, I asked your daughter if she was buying diesel, and she assured me that she was." "She's just a child, you should know better. My car is whatever brand, I don't really know. And I know you can look at it and see that it takes gas." "Ma'am, I don't have a view of that side of the lot, so I had no idea what you're driving." That's irrelevant anyway, because some cars do take diesel. At this point, my manager came up because entitled mother was making a scene. Basically, she reiterated everything that I told the entitled mother. Entitled mother was of course having none of it. She was convinced it was my fault, and nothing was going to deter her from that way from thinking. Entitled mother. "This isn't right. I'm going to the police and filing a complaint. You are going to pay for the damage to my car from the diesel." I just avoided her because I had other customers. So enter the police. They get a rundown of everything and explain that neither me nor the store were liable. Entitled mother. "But my daughter didn't know. She is an innocent girl, and because of this lady, my car is ruined. Can't you do anything?" Police. It seems that if you had not sent your daughter in, this probably wouldn't have happened. As you said, she didn't know the difference in gasoline and diesel yet. You still put that responsibility on her by sending her in. Entitled Mother. But that's not fair. Who is your supervisor? I'm going to speak to them about all of you and your unwillingness to help and to blame an innocent child. Literally, none of us blamed the kid at all. I actually felt bad for her, and I even told her before she left she wasn't to blame. Ultimately, it was her mum's fault for sending her in there with no idea what she was doing. Entitled Mother finally realized what she wanted and wasn't going to happen, but she was not happy about it. She wanted me to pay and or lose my job. She ended up being there my entire shift, waiting for someone to come pump out the diesel. She came back in several times throughout that day and stared daggers at me every time. I actually left before she did and laughed my ass off as I walked by her. I never saw her again, but she made good on her promise to complain to my company. Exaggeratedly, might I add. She made it sound as if I intentionally and maliciously made her pump diesel in her car, as if that's even plausible to begin with. Thankfully, my manager was there and told the actual story and nothing happened to me. I know it sucks when this crap happens and you want someone to blame, but we literally can't pay for your gas. I can't give you money out of my register. That would be stealing. People would tell me the wrong pump number or forget to pump their gas and come back surprised that someone else had pumped their gas. Almost all of them expected for us to reimburse them for their mistake. You could literally get fired for being $5 short, much less filling up someone else's gas tank because they fricked up. ETA. I don't know how the nozzle fit in her car and got the diesel. This was 2012, right before they replaced the pumps, so I don't know how they look now. All I know is she did it. Don't underestimate people's ability to be stupid. For those who asked, yes, I'm in the United States, specifically South Carolina, unfortunately. There are safeguards to prevent this from happening, but it still happens. Nothing is foolproof. In my 4 years, it happened like 3 times. So rare, yes. Impossible, no. And our next story was posted by user Daxton Anderson, titled, Entitled Mum Demands New, Free Ice Cream. A little backstory. I worked at McDonald's for just over a year. During that year, I never really got the hang of making ice cream cones. Many got messed up, many got given away. One day on shift, on the counter, I saw an ice cream cone pop up on my order screen. Other crew seemed busy, so I took it upon myself to make a cone, knowing that I'm terrible at it. We're supposed to fill the bottom of the cone and do no less than 5 swirls, ideally 7. I filled the bottom just fine, and by the time I got to the 3rd swirl, the ice cream looked like it was about to fall over. Normally, other employees would just throw the whole cone out and start over. I'm not like that. I remembered back to being a customer, standing in the lobby and seeing Mac employees throw out ice creams. So I did what any good employee from McDonald's should do. I took that messed up, deformed cone, wiggled it to the side so it was upright, and walked through the lobby until I came across a kid. He was deep in his Happy Meal, so I tapped on Entitled Mum's, from here on out Entitled Mother's, shoulder and quietly asked the entitled mother if her kid would like a free ice cream. She shrugged with a, "Sure, whatever," so I got the kid's attention and gave it to him. Huge smile on his face. It's always made me feel good to do this, and it costed the company nothing since it was going in the garbage anyways. I go back to the counter. Another crew member had already made the cone while I was in the lobby, so I got back to my usual duties: cleaning, taking orders, putting out orders, making coffee, etc. When Entitled Mother comes up to my till with the cone, very angry. Entitled Mother: "What's this?" "That's the free ice cream cone that I just gave you." Entitled Mother pulls out phone. "Why doesn't it look like this? Do you not know how to do your job right?" I look at her phone. It's our website with a picture of a cone pulled up. "I gave you that cone because it doesn't look like that. I commonly give away cones for free that don't come out right. How is that fair on my kid?" "Pardon? It was free ice cream." "Yeah, but why is it all deformed like this? The one on the website's at least twice as big." I couldn't make it as big as it should, so I gave it to you for free. At this point, my manager is standing over my shoulder, well aware of the situation. My manager was a pretty funny guy. He loved to poke fun at Karens like this, so he started making an ice cream behind me. Probably the biggest ice cream I've ever seen, easily 12 plus swirls, almost twice as large as the one in the picture, easily 2 foot tall. Entitled mother, see, at least he knows how to do his job properly. Hey, that's for me. He messed up mine. Manager, actually, it's for OP. He's about to go on break and he deserves an ice cream after dealing with problem customers. Me, now, is there anything I can help you with? Entitled mother, yeah, free ice cream shouldn't be messed up ice cream. Manager, nudges me aside and stands at the till. Look lady, the ice cream you got was for free. Free! F-R-E-E. You don't get to return or exchange something that was free. Either go back to your table and sit down, or I'm gonna need to ask you to leave. I got my break extended from 30 minutes to 45 minutes, ate my huge ice cream, and went about the rest of my shift as normal. 'Twas a good day that I will remember forever. And our next story was posted by user Silly Stage Cat, titled, Yes, I can go into the soft play with my disabled sister. No, that does not mean your able-bodied kids can too. So some backstory. My younger sister has cerebral palsy. It doesn't affect her brain in the slightest, but it does make it hard for her to speak and confine her to a wheelchair unless she's being carried by someone. Because cerebral palsy is a neuromuscular condition, it means she has to be carried by somebody strong enough to cope with her erratic and involuntary movements. Hence why a member of staff or her friend couldn't go in with her instead of me. Because of all these years of carrying her, I'm pretty muscly. I was also naturally curvy for a 14-year-old girl at the time, which is important later. Entitled parent will be called Karen. Entitled kids will be things 1 and 2. We'll call my sister Joy. Her friend will be called Amy. My grandparents are GPS. Server lady is SL, and I'm me. Duh. So, I believe this incident occurred about 1.5 years ago, when my sister was 9. We were at a local soft play center with my sister's BFF and my grandparents celebrating my sister's birthday. Like any 9-year-old, she was always excited at the chance to play in the soft play. Even more so because they're often not even vaguely accessible and they refuse to make exceptions for me to go in too. Which I understand, but do wish was different. On this occasion, however, we did our research, called ahead, and found a lovely place that was happy to let me go in with Joy and Amy. Amy, by the way, is the sweetest girl I've ever met and is happy to make sacrifices in order for Joy to have a good time, even though we always let her know she doesn't have to, and was perfectly fine with me coming in with them. We'd been into the soft play area for about 15 minutes when Amy and Joy got thirsty, so I did the whole thing, lifted Joy out of the ball pit, and we headed over to the cafe/seating area to grab some juice. We were about halfway back to the soft play area. I was carrying Joy, and Amy was walking next to us chatting with her, when we heard it. This is a slightly abbreviated version of the conversation that ensued. Server lady, I'm very sorry ma'am, but your children are above the height limit for this soft play. Karen, why? We came here to play. I have work to do. It will keep them occupied. I know, but there's a danger to the other children playing here, and our age limit is 10 years. Karen, triumphant. Aha! Thing 2 is 10? Or maybe so, but he still exceeds the height limit at this establishment. I'm sorry, but we're not going to let you in. Me and the kiddos were still headed towards the soft play area when I feel a tap on my shoulder. By this point, the staff have changed over, and obviously the lady who let us in and knew the sick had forgotten to tell the people on the next shift about Joy. SL, I'm sorry, you're all too tall to go in. Me explains situation and gestures to visibly disabled sister. Oh, okay, clearly my coworker forgot to mention that, no problem. Have a nice day, and walks away. Karen walked over at this point and pointed accusingly at me. You're too old to go in. I know, but my sister here needs me to go in with her because she can't walk and her wheelchair won't fit. Joy then says something about noise of ascent, so Karen says, well, she shouldn't be here then. If she can't go around on her own, she shouldn't go in at all. Me, well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. Thing 1, to Joy. Kids like you can't go in, sorry. Me, what did you just call her? SL rushes over frantic. Oh dear, is there a problem? This boy just called my sister an invalid. Well, he was very upset about being the exception to the rule. If this girl can go in, why can't he? Server lady, is his younger sibling physically disabled? Karen, no, he's fine though, and this girl is more likely to hurt little kids than my boys. Server lady, how so? Well, not to be rude, but look at her. Gestures me up and down. Server lady is unimpressed and says, I'm looking. Karen, well, she's not exactly lightweight, is she? First off, she's not even fat. Second, your son called her sister an inexcusable name. Third, my daughter has cerebral palsy and it's purely physical. This girl understands everything you're saying about her and her sister. Joy says slowly, I do. Karen looks a little bit shocked at this. Look at that girl! She's drooling everywhere. You can't possibly think that's hygienic. Server lady, it's no more hygienic than letting a baby in. To Joy, no offense meant, of course. Joy, again slowly, none taken. Karen, whatever. I hope you know that this rule-bending establishment will not be getting any more of our custom. Karen turned tail and stalked out. We never saw her again, thank God. The server lady apologized and gave us all a free slush puppy, which made the girls extremely happy and my grandparents freak out. I'm happy to say that Joy and Amy had a wonderful rest of the day, and so did I. I wish I could say Karen was arrested, or that it didn't hurt Joy's feelings at the time, but she wasn't, and it did. Such is life. It didn't spoil the day though, and I hope her kids wake up one day with CP and find out how it is to be an invalid. Edit. A lot of you are asking what soft play is. I'm guessing it's a British thing. Basically, a giant padded indoor playground and jungle gym, typically enjoyable for ages 1 to 14. Alright guys, that's all I have for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments, and anything you guys want to tell me, talk to me about, I don't know, ramble about. We can have a little bit of a chat if I have time. If any of you new folk enjoy the content, be sure to click on that bloody comment that I've got down there. There's a playlist if you want to fall asleep to my voice, if you like it that much, as some people have told me. And yeah, that's about all for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.